Thanks for joining us for This Week in Odyssey, where subscribers to Odyssey, the print MIS for marketing ideas for printers, can discover what's new in Odyssey and learn about the best practices to use Odyssey to its fullest. Let's get started.
I had myself on mute there, I had to catch myself. Welcome to Marketing Ideas for Printers This Week in Odyssey webinar. This is episode number 14, if anyone is keeping track or wondering how many of these webinars have occurred so far. We will be presenting these webinars every other Wednesday morning. Please note the webinar occurs at 11 a.m. Central. And just a quick brief overview of these webinars. So this biweekly webinar focuses on release notes. If there's any noteworthy bug fixes that have been released, new features the team has released, tips and tricks, basically anything and everything you'd want to know about Odyssey. And then on today's episode, I will be going over how to set up an order form to have Odyssey pricing, which will allow your print buyers to create an order form from your website. They're going to create an order from your website. Perhaps some of you haven't created an order form yet in Odyssey, or maybe it's been a while since you have explored this part of Odyssey. So maybe today could be considered a little bit of a refresher for you on this topic. To start today's webinar, I'm going to go over something I've gone over before, but we never know if there's new folks on the meeting, so I think it's pretty important to go over this help menu in the upper right. Selecting this help menu, you have three options. The first one, the View Odyssey Documentation. I will select that and a new tab will open. This is our Odyssey user guide. This has been updated as recently as last week with all the different features that have gone in accounting. As you can see here on the left, we have many different topics that you can click on if you want to dive deeper into that topic. Otherwise, on the right here, you can just scroll through. If you ever want to create a PDF or print this off in the upper right, there's also these two icons to either print it off or create a PDF. The next link in the help menu is the Odyssey release notes. Selecting on that will take me to one of our knowledge base articles that is simply Odyssey release notes. We typically release these every 2 weeks. We haven't had any new features now in a couple weeks. We've had a couple bug fixes. I won't go over those, as a lot of folks may not even notice that or have seen these. But if you want to know what's been happening in Odyssey behind the scenes with our developers, we do release our release notes every other week. And last but not least, under the help menu, we have what's called Open a Support Ticket. Now this is taking me to mine and I'm an admin, but this would take you to your website's help center where you can start a help ticket, which is sent to our customer care team. And we'll get to that as soon as we can and get back to you on a solution or at least acknowledge that we have received your inquiry. So those are the three different options from the help menu here in Odyssey. So what I'm going to dive into today is an order form that I have copied to kind of work fresh, would you say, and kind of go over how that could be set up and how that could be considered for your print buyers. A quick disclaimer, would you say, possibly. For us, it's almost impossible for us to know every single workflow scenario. And so you as an Odyssey user will need to adapt to your workflow. This means you can add and remove what you need in an order for that order form to be set up specific to what you want your print buyers to see on the website facing side. We're still here for your questions, however, so if you get stuck or you have a question, we're still here to help you. So to find order forms, I happen to just have my icon on the right here. If you hover over one of these icons in Odyssey, you get a crosshairs. You can actually select and drag and move that to wherever you'd like. I'm not sure how many folks have done that or realize you can do that. Now I just drag that from where resources is up above now. So if you might have icons you use more than others, you can certainly set up your Odyssey dashboard to conform to what you use the most. So I'm going to go into order forms. And going in here, These are a list of all the public order forms. So Odyssey defaults to going to public order forms. A user could also go to what's known as private order forms, or forms that are set up for specific companies, branches, or contacts. That might be for another Odyssey webinar, but today I'm just going to focus on one of my public order forms. Scrolling down to my flyers, this is the order form that I'm going to be working on today. It's called Flyers for Odyssey Webinar Demo. What I did simply was make a copy of this flyers order form. And if you hover over any order form on the far right here, there's a faint copy button and a faint delete button. And I simply press the copy button and I rename this order form. You'll also see there is no green chain link. You may have seen as I was scrolling, there may have been some red or orange chain links. We'll revisit this after I create this order form, but just note there's nothing here that basically means this order form has not really been touched or gone into to be mapped to Odyssey resources. So that is why you're seeing no green chain on a lot of these. For my Odyssey installation, a lot of these I just haven't bothered to go through and map to Odyssey resources. But as I mentioned for this webinar, I'm going to go into this Flyers for Odyssey webinar demo. When you first go into an order form in Odyssey, it takes you to the first tab called Product Information. This is where I simply renamed it to this here. You can put in, if you want a description in here, you certainly can. As it says type a description here, and I just happen to say order your flyer at Tank's Print Shop. That just happens to be the name of my print shop here in Odyssey. It's already under the flyers category since I made a copy of the order form. You could always X out this category and add a new one by simply starting to type in. As you can see, I just start typing in the letter B. Any category existing is showing up in the drop down. So maybe you copied in an order form, you don't want it to be flyers, you could actually add in the category that you would like to assign this to. But for this purpose, I will leave it at flyers. If this order form, if you want to assign it a specific production ID, you can certainly type in whatever you would like here. If this order form is always going to be a certain size and always going to use a certain paper and will always use a specific ink, you could also include those if you would like. I will not be doing that in this one, but we give you the option if it's always a specific size paper ink, you could also indicate that as well. This is the product image that happens to be on this order form. I'll just quick show you. If you go to add image and you can select add new image and look on your computer for an image to choose. I'm just going to use this one that I've used before. Simply select use this image and Odyssey will replace it'll add a new one if there's already an existing one. So there's now an arrow. You can see this is the one I just added. This is the one existing. I actually just want to use this image that I just added. So I'm just going to go back one and select the gray X in the upper right. A little pop-up. I'm going to remove the image. So now this order form is set to this specific image. If you had a sample PDF for any reason or a production PDF that you also want to include in this order form, you can do the same thing and add those under this production information tab. We're going to be working mainly from what's called a form designer tab. Going in here, you'll see right away, everything is collapsed, would you say? The general specifics, and then these couple instances under here, or these answers under questions and answers are collapsed. Red triangle, action required, click to open. I'm going to click the general specs. With most order forms in Odyssey, when we turn on your Odyssey, if you haven't done anything with them, these three at the top will most likely be red triangles saying you need to specify an ink, you need to specify a paper substrate, and you need to specify a size or project dimensions. These will always be, if I recall, red triangles, a little indicator that, hey, something needs to be done so that this order form can at least be generically set up so that it can be good to go. I'll go a little bit more deeper in that as we go. So what needs to happen in order for these three important general specs and explanation points to go away, we need to indicate down here under the questions and answers an ink selection if you would like your print buyers to select from the different types of inks, whether it's front and back or just front and so forth. If you want to give them paper choices and if you want to give them size choices. So I'm going to start adding in questions down here And you'll see these up here will then start to resolve themselves based on what I add down here. What I'm going to start adding is typically, and this could be in any order that you would like on an order form. I suppose a size would be added first, then you might ask for your ink colors and then your paper. I'll show you, but these could be put in any order down here under questions and answers. I'm going to actually start with size. To have Odyssey be mapped correctly on the back end, when someone chooses a size, you would use what's called a dimensions element here. You can see its dimensions with a little tape ruler icon. If you simply select that with your mouse, drag this over into the questions and answers, then you can drop it. As you can see, the 4 crosshairs, you can add any of these form elements that you take on the right side and drop them in any order here that you want them to show up on your order form. So it's not an end all once you drop it. I'll show you here when I'm done adding these that you can rearrange some of these. So I'm just going to call this choose a size. And we're going to have predefined sizes, meaning you can add sizes to this that you would like your print buyers to choose from. You can include units of inches. You can choose that as feet or yards. For this example, I'm just going to leave it at inches. If you have a bleed that would be included, you could actually add in a bleed if you would like. I'm not going to do that. Similarly with a gutter. If you have a gutter that is required, you can also add that in as well. I'm going to add in a couple answers for our print buyers to choose for this question. I'm just going to do 8.5 by 11 is pretty standard, pretty typical. I'm also going to add in 11 by 17 as another one. And then another one, we could just go 3.5 by 5.5. It really doesn't matter what you put in. And save. These can also be rearranged with the crosshairs, as you can see. I'll refresh this page. These will come in with numbers, so don't get too concerned about why they're not showing the numbers here. If you want to set a default for any of these, you can select make a default. I am not going to do that. You can also hit the pencil icon and edit what was already added in there. I'm just going to go to add new question. As you can see now, this choose a size question is showing up. Here are the answers that I added. I'm actually going to put these in order as far as smallest to largest. So as you can see, I can drag up 3.5 by 5.5 and put that at the top, and I'm going to leave these other ones here. All right, so I added in a dimension question with 3 answers your print buyers could choose from. Let's look at the top. As you can see, the size general specification up here, this red triangle has been resolved because Odyssey knew that it's going to determine the size based on this choose a size question that I already created down here. Next, we're going to work on paper. Let's do paper. I'm going to choose a radio button. You could always do a pull down menu. You could probably do a checkbox as well, but I think what I've seen mostly is a radio button. But if you have a different method that you would like your order form to show to your print buyers, you could certainly use a pull down menu or a checkbox, but I'm just going to use a radio button for this case. I'm going to drag this down. I'm going to plop it underneath choose a size. And again, that could be moved however you'd like. So we're going to call this paper choices. I'm going to leave it as a radio button, but again, you could choose a pull down or a checkbox. Answers map to, this is critical to some of the form elements you would add here. In order for Odyssey to correctly map to your papers, to show your print buyers the price that you have set up for your papers in Odyssey, you need to map to, what do you want to map to? You can map it to a specific resource or a tag. I'm going to map to the tag called paper, meaning any resource that has the tag paper will be pulled in, and I'll show you what that looks like when I select paper. And I'm going to select add. Now these are all the papers that I have in my Odyssey installation that have the tag paper. You can turn off if you do not want any of these answers to not show up in your order form. This one, BC, must be related to, I have a specific paper that's for business cards. I'm actually going to not include this answer for the order form, so I turn that off. I'm going to leave all the other ones here as they are, and I'm going to select add question. Now, as you can see, paper choices is down here underneath choose a size. If I plus this, here are all the options that I have allowed for your print buyers to choose from. I have turned off business card paper. If we go up here to the top, you can see the red triangle has been removed next to the paper. Odyssey knew that Odyssey is going to determine the paper used based on the question paper choices, which I just added down here. So it's kind of a one-to-one. We have size relating to a size question. We have paper up here relating to a paper question. And as you probably guessed, we're going to do the same thing, similar, I should say, with the ink colors. Ink colors, this is going to be related to what we call a color picker question. And as you can see, there's color picker, what looks like some strips of paper here that would have color on them. This I'm going to put under, for now, the paper choices question. I'm going to call it color choices. The question type is a color picker. Number one, it's going to be used for producing a single side print piece or document. Yes, you could also choose other options down below. This product includes ink on, you want to do one side or both sides. I'm going to leave it at both sides because somebody could have a two-sided flyer. You can also say if you want your customers can or cannot choose different inks. I'm going to leave it that they can select different inks. I'm going to leave all these as options and add the question, and then I'll show you what Odyssey did and how you can customize this. So I'm going to add question. I'm going to leave all this alone right now. And then I'm going to make the color choices question larger. What it did is it added in the options of 4/4, 4/1, full color, nothing printed on the back, and so forth. That was based on that prior pop-up. If you would like to add additional color choices for your print buyer to choose from, all the other options are showing up down here. So if you want to give them an option of maybe two colors or one color over black, all you would do is simply add or select one, select add, and Odyssey will add now the one that I just chose, full color over, I think it was unprinted black, full color over one color. Let's do it again. Otherwise, I will refresh. Sometimes it takes a refresh to show what you want. Just depends on. So if you don't see what you're looking for, if you simply do a refresh, we should now see what I have added. Yep, full color over one color and full color over two color are now showing up. If by accident you don't want one, you simply select the trash can button for delete. I'm just going to leave these for now for show and tell, but beware that you can add more or you could delete some that you do not want here. Let's go up to the top now and open up general specs. As you can see, there's no red exclamation point here. If I open this up under ink colors, again, there's no red exclamation point. It's not saying, hey, you need to do something. If we open this up further, it knows that the inks used are based on the question color choices, which I have added down here. So these three that are pretty much necessary on the order forms have been resolved based on the questions that I have added down here. Now let's say I want color to be available to my print buyers before paper. You simply drag and move up and drop that question, and Odyssey will then rearrange the questions on the order form. So that is how to set up pretty much in any order form the ink colors, the paper, and the size questions that are needed for an order form. What I could have done, I'm going to remove this paper choices question and show you one quick alternative. Let's say this flyer's order form always uses only one specific type of paper, so that your print buyers may not need to select the type of paper. Maybe this order form is just using a specific paper because it's a special order form or whatever the case may be. You can indicate that instead of saying a new question down below, it's the specifications that I'm going to choose. So I'm going to say the paper, it's going to be a sheet. It's going to be, say, bond or writing in this case. It's going to be my 120 gloss cover, and it's going to be white. You can tell Odyssey to set a specific paper. Odyssey will then know to always use this same paper every time one of your print buyers places an order using this order form. So that also, if you don't want to ask them a specific paper, but it's always going to be the same, you can specify it up here. I'm actually going to add back in the paper question down here and not have something specified up here. So I'm just going to go through and remove this, and we're going to call it a new question. We're going to call it paper choices, and we're going to have this a radio button, and I'm going to go back and add in my paper tag that I did before and click add. I'm going to turn off my business card paper that I do not want for this flyers order form and select add question. As you can see, Odyssey knew to resolve this paper specification up here based on my paper choice that I added here. Again, this could be in any order. I'm going to leave it just the way it is for now. Actually, I think people might want size on this order form for my print buyer, so I'm going to put size first. Why don't we take a look at what this order form looks like, and then we'll keep on going. So if I simply select view form, I get a separate tab up here for my flyers order form. Here's the image I added. Here are the questions that I have added. As you can see, the choose a size that I moved up is number 2. Your quantity question will always be number 1. Then I had choose size. Here are my paper choices. As you can see, that business card paper is not showing up because I turned it off. Here are the color choices that I'm giving to my print buyers. And then this describe the job, the comments, and the file transfer. Those were the other 3 down here that I have not deleted or have not messed with, and I will probably leave those there. I'll go a little bit more into this at the end here. So that's how you could relate the questions here of how they are showing up on the order form. And here's the name of it, Flyers for Odyssey webinar demo as well. Okay, so the next thing that I wanted, oh, I'm sorry, if I go under product information, no, where is it? Under quantity. As you can see, the default quantity that was in here is 100, and that shows up on here. I actually don't want to have any default quantity filled in here. I want my print buyers to be able to enter in their own quantity. So all I'm simply going to do is remove the 100. Green check mark. I'm going to refresh my order form real quick. There is no number in the enter quantity field now. So instead of something being pre-populated, I want my print buyers to enter in what they want to order. If you wanted to have any default entered in, you certainly could. Your print buyers can still override that at the order form level. All right, let's say we're not quite done with this order form. I'm going to say that this order form always needs to have shrink wrapping for these flyers. And if it's something that's always going to happen and you don't necessarily need your print buyers to indicate that or be able to choose something, it's something that you want to happen behind the scenes and you know it's going to occur, that would be best handled by what we call a hidden resource, meaning it's hidden behind the scenes of your print buyers. Odyssey is going to know to bring in that resource when it converts this to an order and properly handle the resource. So I'm going to just use shrink wrapping as an example, as a hidden resource. This can be added anywhere in the order form. I'm just going to add it underneath color choices, but you can add it anywhere. I'm going to call it shrink wrap. I'm going to have I'm going to select my shrink wrap resource. And this is where you can indicate what you want to happen. Do you want, how many per shrink wrap do you want to be done, or do you want Odyssey to auto calculate? I'm actually going to select auto and set. So this is a little bit lighter. It's not like bolded, and it's a hidden resource. It's if you open it up, you can also see the auto is here and so forth. Make sure that the hidden resource one was added correctly. I'm going to add this again. I want to make sure that this is going to add correctly as a hidden resource, and it should. Okay, that's twice. Okay, I was just verifying something before I went forward. So this lighter text that's not bold is saying, hey, I'm a hidden resource now. I'm going to happen every time that this order form is placed from the website. So that's kind of a way to hide things that you know need to happen, or maybe this order form be for a specific print buyer and they need something to happen all the time. This is a way that you can add in a hidden resource and tell Odyssey, I need something to happen all the time. In this case, we're just going to have it as shrink wrap. If I were to go to the order form, and I'm going to refresh this again, this should show, this should not show the shrink wrap resource. And as you can see, the shrink wrap resource is not showing up on here, which is good. That's not what we want. So it seems to have taken that correctly. Let's see. Describe the job. This may or may not be needed on your order forms. It just depends. Do you feel your print buyers need to add describe the job? Do you feel that they may need to add more comments about this job? I guess it just depends on how you feel with your print buyers on this order form, if more information is needed or not. I don't think with this one, I'm actually going to call it describe the job. Let's see. I'm going to call it job name. So typically we'd want to let people give an order form a job name instead of being called describe the job. So what I'm going to do is rename that and call it job name. And it's a text input, and they're only limited to 50 characters. This comments text input, limited to 6 rows, many more characters, in case they need to add more information, like this flyer needs to be this and this, and they have more specifics that might be needed for the print shop. You could leave also this comments element in there. File transfer, I would leave this in here for my order form. Maybe your print buyer needs to attach a file so that you know as a print shop what you're going to be printing, and we're going to leave this file transfer here. I'm going to say the choose a size, paper choices and color choices are required, meaning when your print buyer is on this website, if they don't select one of these radio buttons, there'll actually be a little pop-up saying, hey, choose me, choose me. I'm not ready to enter in as an order. So I'm going to say those are required. That's what this little asterisk means here. Job name may not be required. Comments may not be required, or file transfer. It just depends on your situation. So let's say I'm done with adding all my questions and answers for this order form. 2 more things need to happen before this order form can be made live on your website using Odyssey pricing. Right now it's toggled off. This order form is not using Odyssey to price this form. I'm going to turn that on. Yes. Next thing, product information tab. This is currently unpublished, so only you as an admin can see this order form. It is not made public. I'm going to select yes. Now this is a published public order form that would be using Odyssey pricing. If I go back to the order form and I hit refresh, this gray bar that says this order form isn't active should disappear, and we should start see live pricing at the bottom here. So I'm simply going to refresh this order form. So now that gray box is gone. I'm going to enter in pricing, or I'm going to enter in some of these, and we're going to see if this order form is going to price. We're going to call this white. We're going to go full color, unprinted back for this flyer. I'm going to say this job name is Testing for Odyssey Webinar. I don't really have any comments for this right now, and I don't really have a file that I'm going to add, but as you can see, live pricing was showing up here on this order form. This is using all the Odyssey resources, your inks, your paper that we're asking based on size dimensions. It's also taking in consideration the shrink wrapping hidden resource. So as you can see, Odyssey is pricing this order form live on the website to your print buyers on the fly here. So with that said, if you have any additional questions on the order forms, as we've said before, we are here for you to help you get it set up. If you're at a point where you're like, I'm not sure what's going on, it's either not pricing or so forth, send us an email, you feel free to call us, whatever. But this is just one example of setting up one of the order forms, adding in hidden resources that need to run on the back end, but you don't necessarily need your print buyers to choose. How to resolve those pesky exclamation points under the ink colors, paper, and size. I've had a few folks wondering how they relate. Now you've seen how they relate to the questions that I have asked down below. So with that said, I know it's getting here at the bottom of the hour. I don't want to take up any more time, but that's what I mainly want to go over is an order form. And like I said, maybe you haven't gone in this area before, or maybe it's been quite a while and you just weren't sure how to start resolving some of these questions. That is how you can resolve and add in questions, move them around, rename them, delete some answers. specify it to your workflow, set it up on how it would make sense for you and your print buyers in your case. And of course, we're always here to help you. With that, thank you for joining us during this edition of Odyssey, and we do have a short survey at the end. Thank you so much.
For those watching live, stick around for a 2-question survey. On behalf of the whole team at Marketing Ideas for Printers, thanks for joining us.